And good Sunday morning. It's 11:57 on December 8th, 2024. This is David and Chuck Show. We got Coach Jonathan with us this morning, and all the talk, all the stuff is going to be here in the next few minutes. We're going to find out the 12 teams that are in. There is still a lot of intrigue. We're going to find out who's playing who and where they're playing. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and before we with some really good football games yesterday. Congratulations to Army on a big win to win their conference championship. And I know that we had that discussion yesterday for a few minutes about them not even being mentioned or getting a sniff. Boise ended up winning their conference championship. Their only loss is to the undefeated number 1 ranked team in the country, Oregon. Arizona State. Boy, they put on a show yesterday against Iowa State. Men, they put a show on, and that running back is he's got a chip on his shoulder. A great ball game. Wasn't a great ball game, but it was a great ball game. If it makes any sense to you two, and I know that it does. In the SEC championship, very poorly played. Very poorly played. A lot of penalties on Texas, and that's something that a lot of dropped footballs, injuries, and then they come back and the kid came in from Georgia and really gave him a spark, even though he threw the pick there that almost cost him at the end. And then the game of the night down in Charlotte, disappointed in the crowd, though. Really disappointing the way that Charlotte supports the ACC championship. What a great football game. And that freshman kicker – will go down and he will be legendary from here on out in Clemson, South Carolina. So 12 teams, and here we go. They're going to start here in a minute.
They're still on the NFL Sunday countdown. So I told you guys I want to talk about this right before we came on. And I want your guys' opinion. This is my inner Mike Leach.
Boy, college football needs a guy like Coach Leach. We miss him.
I know, but here's my thing: why is there a committee? And I'm being serious. Why is there a committee for Division I or FBS college football? FCS doesn't have it. Division II, Division III, NIA, NFL, CFL, old NFL Europe. No football league, including professional, has ever had a committee. Why do we have a committee instead of going, all right, 1 through 12 is 1 through 12. The top four, 5 through 12, 5 through 12. You can take the model of like the NFL of if you win your division or in college or conference, you're in. Cool, but I don't get it. I know. I take it back. I do get it because it is all about money and marketability, but it's so arrogant that they have enough balls to sit around and act like they're smarter than everybody, and 98% of them never played the game of football. That's just the way I look at it.
I agree that 100%. It's look, what did we do every Tuesday night once the committee started up? We jumped in. People rushed to ESPN to see what the committee had to say on what really is a meaningless poll at that time.
Yeah.
And that goes back to what Chuck and I'm finished, Chuck. I'm sorry that I got to expound on what you and Coach Matthews have said for the last 5 years, and Jonathan.
Well, and it's just that the polls are all meaningless, starting from preseason all the way through. This is the poll. This is the poll. And what they could be doing is, instead of this hyping it up, people falling for it, is they can have one CFP poll, and that is what we're doing right now on Sunday. You don't have to have all this stuff, this production dog and pony shows on Tuesday night.
But again,
they got to have it, because otherwise they would have nowhere to go for College Game Day and let Pat McAfee's jackass go out there and make a fool of himself and make ESPN an unfamily-friendly environment.
True.
I'm not going to disagree.
Just calling it like it is. I'm not being rude or disrespectful about it. I'm just being honest. Like, if they don't,
but I will say this:
I will meaningless. But if they don't do them, they have nowhere to send all these. It's all for show.
But let me say this on another subject, though, and I never thought I would say this in a million years. I didn't watch game day until we started this last year for about 10 years. But Coach Saban has brought a lot of great. He has done such a good job on game day. You got to give him credit. He brings humor. He brings intelligence. He brings the football smarts and the humor at the same time. And he's done a really good job.
I mean, I agree to an extent in the sense of you're right, but when they hired Pat McAfee and got rid of other people, since when has it ever been okay? Because I'm gonna tell you, as a player, if you do an interview and you say a what is deemed a curse word, you get a fine. Since when is saying the F word on live ESPN okay? Since when is saying BS on live ESPN okay? He's brought that over to ESPN, and Saban, was it funny yesterday? Yeah, but he said it live on game day when he was interviewing Kirby and Sarkisian, and said, "Oh, you two are both BSing me," and said that we're like, kids are 8 and 9 years old watching the show. That's what they've allowed this to be because they've made it for show. They've made it so unenjoyable to watch when it comes to that. Now, the intelligence side of the football side of it is fun to watch Saban because you're right. He brings a whole different element to it. He actually has insight, but that's just my rant. That's my rant for the day.
It's been about 2 years now. It's almost 20. I counted 22 years that I just cold turkey NFL games, and it's been now 2 years that I stopped watching game day, ESPN game day. I hated it. And now that time I started, it was one Saturday that I went through and was watching the SEC game day, the ACC, and was comparing them. But other than that one time, just to see the difference in the shows, I don't watch game day. I don't like getting sucked into these type of productions, and then people think that's the entertainment. I'm looking more for the analytical, analytical stuff rather than the entertainment value.
Well, and to what Dad said, Saban has at least brought the analytical side back.
Right.
Because before him, there was zero analytics. It was just straight up sleight of hand.
I can't take and he may be a great guy, but I can't take at the end to the right Herbie. Okay. Desmond is a cool cat, while I watched it years ago. And then Corso should have been cut loose a long time ago. And I see highlights. I don't watch the show. I see highlights. And what is this god awful reaction on McAfee? I mean, I'm glad I'm not watching it.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
All right. So I'm going to bring this back here.
Well, if it weren't for Saban, it would be even more horrendous. I will say that, and that hurts me to say, but I would agree.
So here we go. My thoughts are going into this thing. My thoughts going into it are, I thought yesterday that before we talk, I'm just going to talk about the football part before they start the seedings. I thought that Oregon was so much better than everyone, and they still might be. But you got to tip your hat to me again to what Penn State did yesterday to stay in the game and keep fighting back and keep fighting back and keep fighting back, which is something that you don't see a lot against upper tier opponents from Penn State in the last 7 or 8 years. So 2 really good football teams in the Big Ten championship game. Two really good football teams, regardless of what the seedings say, in the ACC championship game yesterday. 2 really, really good football teams, even though it was horribly played in the SEC championship game. But man, don't sleep on Arizona State.
No, I agree with what you're saying, but you also got to realize, and this is where what we talked about before we came on, not every conference championship game is going to be deemed equal, because it's not. It is not. No, but hear me out. It's not. What have I said for a long time that if I could go back to high school, what conference would I play in? The Big 12.
Michigan Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. You said you wanted an Elma Scott.
There you go.
All
But
right.
I'm saying, like, think about it. The Big 12. Why? Because all they play is cover 4, and they don't play defense. That's the thing. Now, hey, they're 11-1 or 11-2, whatever it is. The reality is you don't really know how good they are because of the conference they play in at the moment. And that is not a slight. You got to win the games on your schedule. I've said the same thing about Indiana. They haven't played the upper echelon Big Ten teams. They did, and they got blown out by Ohio State. Right? That's what I'm getting at with Arizona State. I love watching them play. I love watching that quarterback. I love watching that tailback play. But as a team, I don't know. I don't know where they're going to be at when they face a gauntlet of a defense. Now, granted, I don't know who they're going to play in the first round. So,
okay, here we go. Listen, I want predictions, boys, before they start going. And this is just to you two, and just, you can give me a short explanation, not a long detailed thing, because we got a lot of time for that. In or out, in your thoughts right now, SMU.
and I've already given you my whole bracket.
Right. For the show, yeah. I had
for Chuck.
Yeah, I had SMU out and
Okay.
at Bama, but I like what Jonathan gave us before in the production meeting. But I got to be honest, I had going into the meeting, I had Bama in and SMU out.
So, and basically, I think all that now that we're waiting on is one of those two teams is in or out, correct? And then it's the matter of the seeding, who you play and where you play, and I cannot wait to see who's hosting the first round games. And golly, look, man, I hope it's in 2 foot of snow in 30-mile-an-hour winds. I want to play in the weather, baby.
But here's the thing: I don't know if the only thing we're waiting on today is to see where they drop Texas and Penn State to. That's it. Or sorry, Texas, Penn State, and SMU. That's the only thing we're waiting on.
Do you agree with your dad that the only thing we're waiting for is to see what the committee says on SMU or Bama? Do you agree with that?
Well, yes, but I'd take it a step further to say where Texas and Penn State go, because that affects Ohio State, Tennessee.
Right.
Yeah, I get that, but I'm talking about the 12 that are in.
Oh no, well, yeah, that's what I said it last week. It's gonna come down to the 3: SMU, Bama, and Indiana. But Indiana being, what were they, 9 last week, or were they 10?
Indiana was 9. Arizona State was 10.
No, I'm not looking at I'm looking at the rankings, not the bracket.
Oh,
that's the difference.
I'm looking at the rankings. I'm sitting here looking at last week's rankings, CFP rankings.
Okay, Arizona State was not number 10 last week.
Oh, that's the AP. Sorry.
Arizona. So they were 9. Boise was 10. So what I'm saying is, I know. Sorry, hey.
He didn't even take my garbage out. Chuck, he never even took the garbage out when he was a kid. You know what I'm saying?
God, let me finish. The reason why I don't think it comes down to Indiana being out now is they were ranked ahead of 10. If they were 10, I think that was the kicker. That number right there, 10, the 10th spot would have determined if Indiana was on that bubble with SMU and Alabama. Since they were 9th, I retract my statement about them being on the bubble. I think it is 100% SMU or Alabama. Like for in, Miami's out, is what it is. But I do think that the chairman put their foot in their mouth when they said, well, the reason why South Carolina didn't jump Alabama is because they head-to-head. Well, then now you got to put your foot in your mouth and go, Ohio State handled business against Penn State. Where are you going to put Penn State now? So because here's the reason why I say that. If they drop SMU out and dock them for an ACC championship loss by 3 points on a 57-yard field goal, there will be an absolute uproar in the country because if you do that, you better drop Penn State to 9, and you better drop Texas to 8. But they won't do that. They won't. So that's why I say it's going to be SMU over Bama.
Because, well, Chuck, and this is not for you right now, Jonathan. This is specifically for Chuck. You know, we had a major, we got mad at each other last year about the Florida State thing. All of us. It got nasty, and I'm thinking, no, I don't want to do that again. That was not fun. But they kept them out because the quarterback was hurt. That's the only reason, and they said it. So my question, and I know this is, but Georgia's quarterback got hurt yesterday. I doubt he's playing again.
It doesn't matter. They won. They won the championship. He's in.
So you don't drop him?
No, even if you drop them, you can't drop them below. You can't drop them below Boise, and you can't drop them below Arizona State, which means they're still guaranteed to get a bye. It's just whether they're 2 or 3.
Jonathan, we're looking at it in a different perspective. We're talking on a 12-team playoff. Last year, if we had a 4-team playoff and the quarterback got hurt,
they may not be in.
Exactly. See, because Florida State won the ACC, and the quarterback, what got injured in that powder puff game before the rivalry game of Florida. And look, I was looking at that today. What would we be doing right now if it was still 4 teams? Who would be in it? I think Jonathan got the formula. The one person throughout this process, I think Coach A has got his finger on the pulse of this committee. And when he comes with this stuff, we're just waiting to see if the committee's going to do what they're going to do with the SMU Bama thing. Everything else is pretty much set in seeing who falls and where they're going to play. So to me, it's settled, except for one. Now, I'll go with Jonathan on his theory because he, like I said, he's been right every week. But what would we be doing right now if it was only 4 teams?
That would get interesting because I'm just gonna pull it up on my screen but that's where it goes to the championship games, in my opinion, are meaningless now.
Right.
For the reason of if you like yesterday, if there was only 4 teams and I'm Texas, I don't want to play. I'm in. If I play and lose, I'm out. Look at Georgia last year. Same thing with Oregon. Georgia was undefeated last year, and then they get beat by Bama. Now, obviously, Oregon won, but I'm just saying, like, the risk is not worth, or the reward of being in is not worth the risk of losing.
Unless you were Clemson yesterday.
Right.
Well, no, but see, in a 4-team, Clemson wouldn't have had a chance, though. It wouldn't have mattered.
If it was a 4-team committee, and I was sitting there looking at it last night, I think it would be and I have to find out if that quarterback's going to play for Georgia. Okay. And if he was out, or let's say he's going to be able to play, I think that the 4 teams would be Oregon and Ohio State, because of what we've talked about. They always take care of Ohio State, and Georgia and Texas would be the 4 teams. Now you think about, all right, the Big Ten, SEC, 2 teams in. No ACC representative, no Notre Dame, none of them.
It would get interesting.
And that's something that I think needs to be talked about is Notre Dame.
Well, I think this is why I think that since they didn't play yesterday, is why I think they dropped to the bracket number 7, but not ranking number 7, but bracket number 7. I think they keep Texas, Penn State ahead of them because they played. That's just my opinion.
I think that if, let's say, Georgia was not, Carson Beck was not being able to play for the rest of the year now because of his injury. And because, he came in at the end of the game last night just to hand the football off.
That's worse than people think. I'll just tell you that.
What?
His elbow might be worse than people think because, 1, that sucks when that happens. 2, when he came in and was jogging on the field, he wasn't moving that arm.
Right. I reminded me of you playing for Toronto in that opener, or Montreal, and getting as you're throwing, getting ripped almost the same way. Almost
Yeah.
the same way.
It's not fun.
I've never seen you show pain, but you just went down like this and you hung your arm. I thought, oh no, he's hurt.
No, it's not fun because especially when you can't move it. And the way he was standing there on the sideline, like I could be wrong, but if it's him and I'm him, and you're projected to be a, first, second round pick, depending on where quarterbacks fall to, blah blah blah. I don't know if I'm gonna play.
So, but to finish this is that so I was looking at, let's say Georgia. Okay, we're going to treat Georgia the same way as they did Florida State last year, and they're going to work out of the 14 playoff. We're going to kick Georgia out. Say you're going to be fifth. Who gets that fifth spot? And I thought either Arizona State or Notre Dame.
Who are the bye? Okay, let me before they start, because sometimes I overthink on this. Who are the 4 bye teams right now? We know Oregon, right?
No, it's Oregon, Georgia, Boise, and then it's either Clemson or Arizona State. If they're going to jump Clemson 3 extra spots ahead of Arizona State, I don't see it happening because Arizona State put a beat down, and I think that's the deciding factor.
Well, y'all know my feelings on Clemson right now. This team, so I just, they did what they were supposed to do. Congratulations to Dabo and his boys. They're in the national playoff, but I would love to see Arizona State have a shot because you got man, you can't put Texas in there if you don't have Georgia.
No. The 4 byes are for conference champions.
Right. No, I'm talking if we were in a 14 playoff.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. Never mind. It's you start creating the real debate out of that. So it's a lot more involved in it.
So so let me ask you all this because we don't know, we're just speculating. But if SMU is the team in and Alabama is out, the discussion that has been a national discussion since Tuesday has been the word brand. Is brand? Did they kind of throw the brand away, and now because I think they kind of saw, so we don't have to sit here and take the time to talk about the brand for this season anymore.
No,
does that make sense?
Yeah, no. Trust me, the brand is still a huge ordeal. And the reason why I say that is because otherwise Ohio State wouldn't be ranked ahead of Tennessee to get the home game instead of Tennessee because of recent past 15 to 20 year history. I mean, just calling it like it is. Texas, the brand wouldn't have been as highly ranked with their resume as number 2 if they weren't going off of brand. The only one that we're saying has a chance to be booted out that has a high brand is Alabama. And that's just because Alabama's got 3 losses. If SMU gets blown out yesterday, then it's a no-brainer. It's Alabama. But
no, tell John Taylor no.
Blown out.
Tell John Taylor. Yeah, I know the answer, I think, but I know you know.
Well, hold on. Yeah, Notre Dame can never get a first round bye until they get into a conference. The highest Notre Dame can be ranked. They can be ranked 1 in the country, but they can't get higher than the 5th bracketed seed because there's not a conference. And that was written in. So Notre Dame is just they're always trying to get the 5 seed.
Are they going to join a conference, guys?
Not unless they're made to, because they have that huge NBC TV deal. They don't have to share with anybody.
Their arrogance tells me no. They won't be a member of the conference. They'll be fine getting in the 12 team.
Mm-hmm. They're fine playing the 5 seed because then in their mind they're going playing a conference championship game is game number 13. Playing the first round at home is game number 13. That's their mindset. Until they're made to, they won't.
They can
And I don't think they'll ever make them.
They could be 11-1 or 12-0, and be fine and host a game, and then it's off to the bowl games if they win.
All right, here we go. Oregon got the 1 seed. They're doing it right now.
Chuck, Oregon.
What?
Oregon's number 1.
Okay.
I'm gonna read them as they go.
All right.
This is the bracket, not the seeding. Georgia got the number 2 bracket.
Right.
This one is so Boise should get this one, number 3, and the 4 is going to be the interesting one. Excuse me.
And that 4 would only come down to 2 teams, right?
Yeah, it has to because they're the conference champions. It's Clemson and Arizona State, unless they jump Arizona State. And now they're not. Now they want to stall the TV time. Go figure. They're doing their resume comparison.
Hey, best line yesterday I heard was Dillingham, the head coach at Arizona State, when he was leaving his post-game interview. He says, "Treat us like a 11-1 Power 5 conference champion." That's all.
He's right, though.
He's right.
No, I give him that. He's right. I'm just saying that their defenses they play in that conference. But then again, they're 11-2 and Big 12 champs. Like, I'm not going to hate on them. I'm rooting for them.
They're going to go far.
Like, I'm rooting for them. I'm just saying, with the Big 12, it's always been that way. You just never know once they get into a bowl game or playoff because it's always been that way.
So give me a prediction. Number 3, Boise.
Yeah, and they just got it.
Okay, number 3 is Boise.
This next one is
the key.
This next one's the big one.
And if you did this like you did the basketball brackets, they would not be the 3 seed.
No, God, no. But remember, FBS football, the committee people are smarter than everybody. The 4 seed. So Boise was the 3, but they were ranked number 9. Do you see how that messes up the bracket?
Right.
John Taylor's having a bad day, man.
Arizona State got the 4. Good. Good.
That's cool.
So that means Clemson gets 12.
Johnson's 4-0 right now. 4-4.
So now it basically comes down to Alabama or SMU as the last team in.
Well, yeah, we're going to I'll say it out because I don't know if they're going to go 5, 6, 7 or if they're going to just start doing 12-5 like that.
Well, I'm watching it too. Mine's a second or 2 behind.
So they ranked Arizona State all the way up to the 12th spot. Even though they got the 4 seed, they moved them all the way up to 12, it says.
Were you? Oh, when they're talking. Okay, I hadn't heard that.
Well, no, I'm just looking at it. I'm looking at the number beside it.
Okay, I see. Okay, I get it. I'm old, Chuck. I can't see crap.
That's all right.
The only reason I woke up and got to see the last quarter of the football game last night when I fell asleep was, well, you know.
2 or 3 on this show wear glasses.
And mine don't work.
All right,
are you satisfied with the top 4 boys?
I am.
Yeah, I don't think Boise should be there, but this is me. All right, Clemson got the 12th spot. Clemson only moved up from 17 to 16, but they got the 12th seed.
All right. So, Tom, is SMU in or out, boys? Tell me now.
I've already said it. They're in.
Chuck?
I don't know, David.
Where's our friend John Truitt doing?
Panicking, probably.
My friend Tommy Gasaway's probably having a stroke right now.
All right. I don't know if they're going 12-5 or 12-11. I don't have it on. I have my sound off on purpose, so it's a surprise. So I don't know.
So, yeah.
All right, so Texas got the 5 seed. Ooh, Clemson goes to Texas. I was off. Clemson's going to Texas. That'll be a matchup, though. That'll be a matchup. Let's ride horns. Screw it. I'm not a Texas fan, but let's go. Horns up, baby. I'm not a Texas fan. I'm not a Texas fan at all, but let's go. Horns up. Screw it.
Well, of the 3 orange teams in there, those are the 2 ugliest oranges.
Because I figured they would put Penn State at 5.
So that's Penn State.
Maybe I just got Penn State. Maybe I got Penn State and Texas flipped. We'll see. Even though Texas stayed at the number 3 overall team, they didn't move.
So does that put Tennessee?
No,
does that put Tennessee in Penn
Tennessee
State?
Tennessee will go to Ohio State. Watch. God, they're slow. I mean, I know why, but I'm just saying, geez. It's like throw the bracket out there, let everybody talk about it, and then all right, Penn State got 6. So let's see who Penn State's going to be playing. Penn State, you sandbagging. They win that game. They got Boise. They got. Let's go. Penn State's about to be in the Final Four, depending on who they play in the first round.
Chucky's going to win one.
Hey, I could be wrong. This could be SMU though, where I had Texas and then flipped. If it's Penn State, SMU better get their mind right going to freaking Pennsylvania.
Could it be Bama?
No, I don't think so. But then again, you never know. Hey, if it's Bama at Penn State, talk about a matchup.
Yeah,
just
but if you're going to have
floods.
Money.
We're about to find out. Listen, this is the only spot Bama has a chance left. Oh, never mind. They went. They're doing 5, 6, 7. So Notre Dame got 7.
Wait a minute.
Notre Dame 7.
Does that mean the Vols are going to Notre Dame?
No, they're going to be number 9. I've told you this. They're going to go to Ohio State.
Take the trash out.
Just watch. So the next seed will be 8, and the winner of that one will be playing Oregon. Let's see.
Is that Indiana?
No, do you not listen to me ever?
No.
It's Ohio State. Just watch.
Okay.
I mean, if it ends up being Tennessee, I'm going to be happy as hell because that means they get a home game. But it ain't going to happen. See, there you go. Ohio State. Told you. Now Tennessee will be 9 going to Ohio State. Which is completely wrong that Ohio State only dropped 4 spots last week and everybody else dropped 5.
All right, so we know the first round home game.
The home games are Texas, Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame.
Let it snow, baby.
Clemson's the happy one because they get to go to Texas and not up north. In all honesty, Clemson's the happy one.
Yeah, you just remembered Joe Montana game down there in Dallas.
All right, so the next seed, number 9 seed will be coming up. That should be Tennessee. Keyword should be. They hadn't announced it yet, but that will be going to Columbus. If they'll announce it. There it is. Yep, Tennessee. I told you. Tennessee's the 9 going to Ohio State. The only thing I just flip-flop Texas and Penn State. I figured they would have valued Penn State's more yesterday. Other than that, I'm right. Meaning this next seed, the 10th seed will be Indiana, and then the very last one will be Alabama or SMU. They did that on purpose. They saved that one for last on purpose. Look at them. Because that's the one everybody wanted to see.
Yes, John Taylor, I'm going to get a shirt that says that, you turkey.
No, for real, though. He doesn't. I told him 100 times, Tennessee's going to Columbus. I don't agree with it, but that's where they're going.
Well, I don't want it to snow in Columbus. The other places I'm okay with. Did you guys
on me? Watch it be 60 degrees up there in Ohio State. No,
I'm curious on which are they going to do what they've done in the past and let the 1 seed have preference on which bowl site they want, See what I'm saying? And then the 4 seed just gets what's left. Because if that's the case, Oregon's going to want to go to Phoenix for the Fiesta Bowl, but Arizona State's right there. So I don't know. I'll be curious on how they do that.
The Rose Bowl for the number 1 seed.
Is that what they said?
Oh, no.
Here we go, Jonathan.
Used to. Indiana, we already knew. Yeah, Indiana's 10.
Yeah, it's Indiana.
Indiana's going to get throttled. But used to in the 14 playoff, the number 1 seed got to pick the bowl site they wanted of Rose Bowl, like whichever was closest to them, essentially. I'm curious if they still do that because you got Boise and Arizona State that the closest one is the Rose Bowl and the Fiesta Bowl, but Oregon's probably going to want the Fiesta or the Rose. Georgia, because then you got the Sugar and the Orange, which is in Miami. So who's going to go to Miami?
All of Dallas and all of Tuscaloosa are sitting there hanging on.
Oh, yeah, because this is the final spot. And they go to a resume comparison. Yeah, so I would be curious on how they're going to do that, though, with the bowl site. Not the first round, but the second round with the sites, because it's Rose, Fiesta.
I want SMU to be the team. There's no way they're not going to pick Alabama. They're afraid.
No, if I'm telling you, if they pick Alabama, it could be an uproar by the country. Here we go. Who do you got? Hurry.
Bama.
Bama and who? Dad.
Oh, God. They're going to pick Alabama. I want SMU.
Okay, so who are you picking, though?
Alabama.
All right, I'm picking SMU.
I hate to say that. I threw up a little bit in my mouth.
Let's see. Hey, buddy.
There is a right answer. That's what I can't stand about what he just said.
That's why I don't listen to it.
That's garbage. He said, "Oh, whatever happens, there's no right answer." There is a right answer.
So we got y'all both say Bama, and I've got SMU. If SMU gets in, I told you it's SMU. Told you.
SMU?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
So the only thing that I was wrong is I had Texas and Penn State flipped. I figured they would have bumped Penn State over Texas. That's all.
You were talking when I was trying to change my my opinion back to MSU.
Oh, that's what I got you. All right. So here's all right. Now hold on. Now let me talk real quick. The Clemson and Texas. The winner of that plays Arizona State. Tennessee, Ohio State. The winner plays Oregon. Woo. SMU, Penn State. The winner plays Boise. Penn State has the easiest road to the Final Four. I'm just telling you. Indiana, Notre Dame. Winner plays Georgia. So, I mean, I think Penn State's going to screw around and be in the Final Four. I do.
Okay.
Because they're better than SMU and they're better than Boise.
Okay.
I will tell you before you get started is that John Truitt, the all-time greatest Alabama fan, just texted me and says he's got no complaints with the results of this. He's a champion of life.
Mine is and I get it. But I want to see what my friend Tommy Gassaway says. Because Tommy, and this is not a joke, and Jonathan, Tommy's probably on a suicide watch right now, and I'm not making fun of him. Tommy was like my brother. But hey, at the end of the day, if that everything depended on the fourth quarter of that football game last night, if it had continued on, Alabama's in today. Correct? Am I wrong in saying that?
No. I don't think it had anything to do with last night. I think it had to do with the debacle in Norman, Oklahoma, when Alabama went.
That's true. I can see both of those, but
that happened and only scored 3 points on the road against a 5-5 unranked Oklahoma team. I think Alabama out has everything to do with what happened in Oklahoma.
And it very well could. The beautiful thing is they are out, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
But in the
any three lost teams in the brackets?
Clemson.
Okay.
Clemson. But they had to be.
Yeah, because they won the championship.
So I got a question. So let's go back to start at the top of the bracket on the first games. We got Tennessee. I mean, you got Texas and Clemson playing in Texas, and guys, weather could be an issue. I'm telling you, if Chuck and I remember what happened when I call it the Joe Montana game, the chicken soup game. The weather can be an issue there, but even with no weather, talk to me about this football game. I want to talk about football for a few minutes.
Well, Clemson's the lesser of the two teams when you talk about just of these two. No, it wouldn't be that way against every team in the playoff, but this matchup, Texas is the full-blown better football team, but that doesn't mean anything. We know that, but they're a better football team. They're the better coached football team. Now just a matter of, are they healthy? I have no idea. I know their quarterback's beat up a little bit. He's not as mobile, but them getting a home game is massive. It really is. I think, like I said, matchup-wise, Clemson does not have the DBs that can run with Texas's receivers. They do not. They don't.
Right.
Texas, they have the best receiving core, top to bottom, in the country.
Chuck, your analysis, your early analysis?
Yeah, Johnson's spot on. The only thing is if Texas comes in limping, they're not healthy. The quarterback play last night, they were just as sloppy as can be. The penalties, whether they were all
not all those penalties were penalties. I'll say that.
Right.
And that's what Sark said what he said. But
it was 9 penalties to 2. Texas had 9 at half, and Georgia had 2. But Texas has not played well. And Clemson, they started off well, and then they just kind of let off the gas. I think just the home field advantage is going to play, the key advantage here.
I like what Texas does defensively against a running quarterback. Their safety, Taff, even though they show 2 out of safeties, he is actually spying the quarterback. So Clemson does a boatload of quarterback draw, quarterback runs. So I think that's going to be a big matchup to watch is Texas' secondary against him in the run game. Because, once again, even though they're playing too high, the second he sees run, he is now the quarterback defender downhill. So that'll be a big matchup because let's call it like it is, guys. Clemson can't just drop back and throw the football. They have to get him on the run and get his feet moving, not even on bootlegs, but just called runs. That's when they're at their best. So that's where I think this matchup in the run game could be massive because Maffa for Clemson's a little beat up. Their backup running back, 26, got hurt on a kickoff return last night. I don't know how severe his knee is. A redshirt freshman kid. So their next best threat is their quarterback. Oh, by the way, Texas in the run game is statistically the best run defense in the country.
Got it.
I think this matchup's made.
It's going I want to add one more thing, and that is that Klubnik's going back home. He is a Texas high school phenom. He was signed out of Texas. So it's going to be, I don't know if it's right out of Austin. But anyhow,
I'm not sure.
Might be Dallas. But anyhow, he's going back home. So good for him. They're going to play at Texas, and it's going to be a good game. Dabo's got experience in this stuff. So it's going to be
so does Sark, though. So does Sark being at Alabama, and Sark actually coaching and calling plays in the NFL for multiple years.
And Southern Cal.
And, well, yeah, but I'm just saying, but in big moments.
How great is this? We get to decide this thing on the field. Go.
Yes.
Oh no, here's the thing. I'm not a Texas fan, but I am a Steve Sarkisian fan. I am. I like how he draws up plays. I love his screen game. That's a big matchup to watch in this game. But I think the deciding factor is Texas's up front and the safety Taff versus Clemson's run game.
Go to the bottom of the bracket. Go to the bottom, Jonathan. Who's playing?
I'm out of that. So you got Notre Dame.
Notre Dame,
Indiana. That one, sorry guys, but Indiana's outmatched. I mean,
I don't believe that.
But okay, well, hold on. You ready? So didn't you said you agreed wholeheartedly with what Iowa State's athletic director said? Well, Iowa State's athletic director called Indiana out too by saying you didn't play anybody that was above 500 when you were winning. You should not be ranked that high, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you got to win the games you're playing. The only team they played that was ranked beat them by over 17 points. Notre Dame has a bad loss. Don't get me wrong. They have a bad loss. I get that. But we've also said it's better to lose early than late. Notre Dame is the better team, no doubt, top to bottom.
Pulling for Indiana.
15 plus.
It's the Indiana State Championship, and we're pulling for Indiana, and you're pulling for Indiana.
No, I've got Notre Dame 15 plus.
Chuck,
I'm serious.
Chime in here. Chuck, kick his butt.
No, he may be right. But I have Indiana in this football game.
So no, I'm not a Notre Dame fan. I'm looking at it from the football.
I understand.
From the football side, yep. Indiana is severely outmatched from the football side. I'm not saying they're not a great story. I'm not saying they haven't had a great. I'm not saying they haven't played great this year. But I'm gonna use what Chuck has said for years against Kurt Cignetti when Cignetti was giving his little this is my campaign speech about it. Well, you know what? Chuck, you are right in the sense of I don't care where they were ranked when you played them.
Right.
Where did they end the year? He was trying to name off these teams when they played them. Well, you know what? Sorry that they went ahead and crapped the bed after, so it wasn't a good win. You made more than a victory of 25 against these not so good caliber teams. Hell, Tennessee, they were plus 60 in the point game against group of 5 teams.
Right. But when we went through this and we were filling it in when it was announced Indiana and Notre Dame, I circled Indiana without hesitation. I think they have an opportunity to pull the upset. But so then they have the team that can match up with Notre Dame, but Notre Dame's supposed to win because they got the better players. But we'll let it go with that.
Oh, no, I'm with you. But, all right, so Henry, answer this for me then. Okay. On Indiana's schedule, all right, on Indiana's total schedule this year, give me a second, I'm going to call them out. Did Indiana have the lesser players of any of these teams? FIU, no. Western Illinois, no. UCLA, no. Charlotte, no. Maryland, no. Northwestern, no. Nebraska, no. Right. Washington, no. Right. Michigan State, no. Michigan, arguable. Ohio State, not a chance. Purdue, no. So they haven't played anybody that had lesser or that they had lesser players than all year. Right. Outside of Ohio State, and you saw what happened.
Well, let's see. We'll find out. But I'm pulling for Indiana.
I don't care who you're pulling for. You said you wanted to talk the football. We're talking the football side. Indiana's a great story, but Indiana, whose defense outside of Texas has been in the top 5 in almost every statistical category the last 6 weeks. And it hurts me to admit this. Notre Dame.
Right.
It hurts me to admit that. Notre Dame's secondary has been the top 3 in almost every statistical category the last 6 weeks. Indiana likes to try to throw the football. It's going to be a good matchup, but I still think Notre Dame by 2 touchdowns plus.
Here's the thing. My final comment on it is that I'm going to pull a Jimmy Leland. Doesn't matter what you did during the season. You all coming up at 0. You're all 0-0. Coming in, you made the perfect spot-on analysis is that Notre Dame is the better football team. I get that. Indiana is the upstart. A lot of them momentum, and I just love the mindset of Indiana. And so my gut told me when the pairings were announced, I circled Indiana right away and said without hesitation.
Oh, I can't argue with that. I'm just saying.
I think they have a chance.
Well, you have a chance anytime you play a game. Look at Florida, Ohio State 06. Florida they should not have been allowed in the BCS National Championship game that year, but they were. Ted Ginn gets hurt after the open kickoff. Florida wins.
Right.
You have a chance in any game you play if you go out there and play.
Right. Who's the next game, John? And we'll do the Tennessee one last because there's a reason. It's not just because it's Tennessee.
Who we got? Oh, SMU, Penn State. At Penn State. Penn State may beat the brakes off of them because of weather alone.
Weather could be.
That's why I predicted before the show that they would have Clemson go to Penn State and SMU go to Texas. That was the only one I had flip-flop was Texas and Penn State. Penn State showed me a little more than I thought they would last night in that game against Oregon. They did, truthfully. But then again, SMU did too. SMU's got grit. This game could be. I say they may beat the brakes out of them. Weather, I think, is going to be the deciding factor because SMU, they've got 9 starters that had transferred from the University of Miami. That plays a big factor. Miami going up to Penn State December 20th or 21st, whichever way they want to do the game. Going to be a little cold. But SMU's quarterback, though, God almighty. Talk about the ultimate just gamer, truthfully.
Yeah.
I mean, he's hard to count out.
Yeah, I'm on the same mindset there with Penn State. And there's a little caveat. Growing up in Flint Southwestern High School, we played on AstroTurf back in those days, believe it or not, putting carpet down on a parking lot, but we still played AstroTurf. We malfunctioned and played our worst football game when we played on the road and played on grass. SMU's is AstroTurf field. And so now you're going to play in inclement weather on natural grass.
And which could be like an ice skating rink.
Right.
No, very well put. I mean, if I'm SMU, guys, let's call it like it is. SMU has not gotten $1 from ACC TV money yet. Okay. And SMU raised like $150 million to be able to join, blah, blah, blah. They got money down there in Dallas is what I'm getting at. If I'm SMU, I'm calling all my boosters and I'm calling anybody that I can in the oil business. And I'm going, guys, I need it now. I need to replicate the worst inclement weather field to practice on for 3 weeks now. Like today, when we go to practice tomorrow, I need this field in whatever way, shape, or form, whether you got to go out there with a freaking water hose, fire truck hose, and freeze this indoor to where it may. Because you got to. If I'm SMU, that's how you got to play it, and then go, oh, it turned up to be 6 degrees and sunny. It's not a big deal. We can play on grass.
All right, let's move. All right, let's move on to the Vols and the Buckeyes. And before we do, I haven't heard that yesterday, Jonathan. I heard this guy that lives in Winston-Salem, and he was cackling. He almost fell out of his chair.
Oh, we lost to old Michigan again.
Which is all fine and dandy, but hey, like you said, it don't matter. They're in. So
yeah, but look,
I'm just, and this is where I do go with the question, and it's not because of Tennessee. I said this before they even said what number Tennessee was when they said Ohio State was going to be the ranking they were last week. How were they the only team that did not drop 5 or more?
Right.
And that's the Ohio State bias. Because here's the thing. They needed to give them a home game for the fact of give Ryan Day the chance to try to win. So otherwise, Ohio State's going to fire him after going 11-1 and 10-2.
I sent this to your dad yesterday, I think it was. It might have been the day before. Can't remember, too old for that. If you want to catch Ohio State in a down mode right now, whoever gets Ohio State in the first round of the playoff game, I mean, they are melting down. And now although home, but they're still on the mindset of losing to Tennessee and wanting Ryan Day fired.
Yeah.
I am in Tennessee all day long. I mean,
here's what my thoughts, and we've talked about this as the season's gone on. In Knoxville, when you think about Tennessee in this era now, you're thinking about the wide open, more plays than anybody, boom, 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 boom. Man, they play defense, and they play violent, and they play downhill. And when you play defense, even though you're a quarterback, you are in the ball game.
I get
think
it.
the defense from Knoxville has a chance to go up there because I think our dudes on defense as a group are better than their dudes on offense as a group.
Yay and nay.
Up front.
I get it. And what does Ohio State like to do? Throw the football. Their receivers are better than our DBs as a whole. Not if I just take McCoy from Tennessee, he can match up with any one of them, right? If I take Boo Carter, who is a freshman, I like his swag. I think you can match him up man for man against any of them. But that's 2 out of 4. 2 out of 4. Their other two, by the way, Mbuka is not their number one receiver. Let that sink in. It doesn't matter. That's where I think that this game, and I'm not saying Tennessee's going to lose. What I'm getting at is that's going to be the matchup to watch. Is Mbuka versus Tennessee's third DB.
But my question to you two is this: up front, the Vols are as good as anybody in the country on the defensive front. Was Ohio State not exposed for their guys up front against Michigan? Did Michigan not dominate their offensive line with their defensive line? And Tennessee's defensive line is better.
I agree, but you statistically can't get a sack on every play.
No, but
that's my point. They're going to air if Ryan Day does not drop back and air the ball out, knowing that's his advantage, then he should be fired on the spot before halftime. Does that make sense? This is what I like. It's all about matchups. It's not of this is my system, this is my system, this is my system. When you're calling an offense, you're looking for matchups. When I sit here and go, I've got number 4, he's my number 1 receiver. He's a freshman. Cool. McCoy, you got him. See what I'm saying? Like when you go down the line, then you go, all right, who's my number 3? My number 3, I just got matched up on a safety. Okay. Great story by Brooks, number 35. Great story. Great story. But he doesn't have a chance in hell on guarding Mbuka. It's just what it is. So if Ryan Day does not drop back and throw the ball 65% of the game whenever we play, whatever day it is, then he's an idiot. And he should be fired before halftime. That's the difference. So, yes, you're 100% right. Tennessee's front four is better. But you can't statistically get a sack every play. So all they got to do is break 3, and that's 21 points.
So my question then, and Chuck, chime in here, Chuck, is the weather in Columbus could work against Ohio State.
It is a nasty, stinky, smelly cesspool that mid-December. It's always gray skies of Columbus, Ohio. The weather is going to
because we've got number 6.
No, that on the other side of the ball, it's never a bad day when you can hand the ball to Dylan Sampson 27 to 32 times and go get me 150 on the ground. That's not a bad deal. But Tennessee is going to have to make a few plays in the pass game. They are.
I will tell you, to me, my eyes, is that Ohio State is such a finesse team that Michigan is with inferior talent, punched them in every play after play. And and Tennessee can play physical. They are soft as marshmallow in Columbus.
Well, no, I agree. Tennessee's the more physical team. The only thing that worries me is the matchup is if they get Mbuka matched up on a safety that's named Boo Carter, that's a disadvantage for the University of Tennessee.
Right.
But in the run game, 100% advantage Tennessee with how good our front 7 is.
Pressure the Ohio State quarterback, get hurries, force them into bad decisions. Tennessee's got the speed and the physicalness on the defense. They're a more physical football team. And if they play that physical brand from start to finish, they'll beat Ohio State, and that'll make me happy. I'm taking Tennessee.
Okay, Mike, let me do this. Jonathan, don't just kind of a real quick answer to that right there. Chuck, real quick, because I do want to go back and talk about some other things here real quick.
Well, technically, the upset would be Clemson over Texas. That would be the upset because Tennessee, Ohio State, 8-9. I'm not really going to call that an upset either way. I would say Clemson over Texas because of experience by the seniors at Clemson, experience by Dabo, and the beat upness of Texas at the moment.
Would you call Indiana over Notre Dame an upset?
Yeah, but I'm picking Clemson over Texas. If there's an upset, I would say it would be that one. I would.
All right. I'm going to go back and I'm going to I'm going to names and answer with your football brain. And that's tough to do.
Trust me. No, it ain't for me because that's. Why do you think I just said what I said about Tennessee?
If you are in the meeting room in Alabama right now, are you upset or not?
But you can't be upset. It is. I mean, I think Chuck hit the nail on the head. You went to Oklahoma and got beat by 21 and only scored a field goal. That right there is enough in a nutshell. The team that I think should be upset to have not been in the conversation is South Carolina.
You just asked my next question that I was going to ask.
I'm not saying South Carolina should have been in, but I'm saying at least to have been in the conversation over in Alabama. But at the end of the day, with how this thing's set up, with the conference champions getting in and guaranteeing a bye, well, if you're 10, 11, or 12, and there is a couple teams, a.k.a. Clemson, a.k.a. Arizona State and Iowa State, all playing with a guaranteed spot in, 10, 11, and 12 are never going to be safe. You got to be 9 or higher to be safe.
So Chuck, if you're Alabama or South, because I think South Carolina should be really upset. That's just me, and I've said that for the past 4 weeks, three weeks. What are you – talk to me about Alabama and South Carolina, and then I have another team we want to talk about.
I don't think anybody's upset at Bama because of the loss. That there's ramifications on that loss at Oklahoma.
Yes.
I think South Carolina should be upset. My football brain says because you lost to Alabama, by 2 points. You had your opportunities and failed to upset Alabama at that time. So head to head, neither one should be upset.
All right. Now, I'm just going by the rankings. Now, this is the CFP rankings. And the only one-loss team, they got Indiana at 9, and then they got Notre Dame at 3. Oregon's with 0 losses is there, and then you got Boise and Indiana. You drop all the way down. They did put Army at 19, at 11-1. Why were we having a conversation about all these other teams and never, ever, ever had any? And again, the chances of them they had to have been undefeated, and I don't even know if they would have let them in at 12-0. But why are they not in the conversation as a top 15 football team right now?
Who?
Army.
They got smoked by Notre Dame.
Yeah. It all comes back to the 2 touchdowns. If you get beat by 15 plus, it hurts you.
49, 17, 14, something like that.
So you're good that they got them inside the top 20. Both of you.
Well, yeah, but it just
to me that team matters right now.
How? They're not in the playoffs.
Not for the playoffs. I'm not talking about the playoffs because Notre Dame answered that.
It's a different animal at the 3 academies. That right now, at this point in time, Army doesn't care. They're totally focused on Navy, and they just are on a different mindset. They don't care where you rank them.
So here. Oh, this plays a role. You ready? The schedule is out. Indiana is at Notre Dame on Friday, December 20th at 8 p.m.
Okay, that's going to be cold.
That's December 21st. SMU, Penn State, 12 o'clock. That is a SMU advantage. That helps SMU.
Yeah.
Texas and Clemson are at 4 p.m.
Wait a minute. If it's at 12 Eastern time, that's 10 o'clock biological time for us.
They'll go up. They'll go up 2 days early, probably. I'm just saying. I'm just talking about because of weather.
Okay, 1 p.m. Saturday.
Clemson and Texas are 4 p.m.
4 p.m.
It does not have the Tennessee-Ohio State game. I'm assuming they'll be the 8 o'clock game. They'll be the 8 o'clock game in Columbus, which is advantage Ohio State.
Yep. But we know Tennessee's going to win, right, Jonathan?
No, I'm with you, but I'm just.
Yeah. I'm not rooting for Ohio State.
Oh no, no. I'm with you. I was looking that up because I'm trying to find something real quick.
I was sitting here thinking, what would we have to complain about if it ended up like it did today? And I'm not a big fan of the way that they handled things, or some of the things that chairman said that were really, sometimes the best thing.
Real quick, this came out. Oregon is the Rose Bowl. Georgia is the Sugar Bowl. Arizona State got screwed and is all going all the way to Atlanta to the Peach Bowl. And Boise State is the Fiesta Bowl. So that means Penn State SMU winner goes to the Fiesta. Texas Clemson goes to Peach in Atlanta. Tennessee Ohio State goes to the Rose Bowl. And then Notre Dame, Indiana to the Sugar Bowl. So the Oregon got to royally F Tennessee and Ohio State by going to the Rose Bowl the next week, the winner of that. And that's the advantage of being the 1 seed. You get to pick.
Well, what interesting tidbit I want to see is, being that the new playoff is, it was hard enough to play in a bowl game and play on New Year's Day, first round, the semifinals, and then the old 14 playoff, is how these coaches are going to prepare these teams to not, to play on the 20th and 21st, then turn around and play on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, and then having to wait 3 weeks for the Natty on the 20th.
Yeah. So, it is official. Tennessee, Ohio State is 8 p.m. on ABC. Clemson, Texas, 4 p.m. on TNT. And SMU, Penn State, 12 p.m. on TNT. Indiana, Notre Dame, the night before at 8 p.m. on ABC.
I personally think they got it right.
I just honestly cannot.
I'm not saying this because of a Tennessee fan. The only confusion I've got is, why did Ohio State not drop 5 like everybody else? That's the only question I'm gonna have. And that is not because I'm Tennessee. That's just, I want to know why. That's all.
Right.
Tennessee's in. I'm not complaining. It's just interesting why everybody else was dropping 5 spots minimum if they lost.
And the only thing that would have changed is they would have played in Knoxville instead of Columbus.
Well, no, exactly. And I'm not saying that because I'm Tennessee. That could have been whoever the 9 seed is.
I will tell you, you talk about money, but it's not so much an Ohio State bias. It's a Big Ten bias. Committee's run by a Big Ten guy.
No, I couldn't disagree.
And so it would, if Tennessee got to 8 and Ohio State got to 9, I would have said the same thing. They got it right.
Oh, yeah. I am agreeing. Those two should be 8 and 9. I'm just wondering why it wasn't flipped, because of every other week, if you lost, they were dropping you 5 spots. That's all.
Right. But
compared to last year, as we were sitting here last year in our fit of anger at the system, our fit of anger at each other, this is like kumbaya. This is pretty cool. So we agree on most of it. And I will say, truly, honestly, I totally agree with everything Chuck just said. I believe they got it right. I just, the only reason a 3-loss team is in is because Clemson won the game last night. Other than that, maybe Alabama. If they lose last night, Alabama would have been in. It is the 12th seed, right?
Yes.
You
want to say it again?
If the only thing that would have changed is if Clemson would have lost last night, Alabama would have been in as the 12th seed. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
No. They would have been at the 11. They would have been where SMU's at.
Okay.
Because then Arizona State would have got 12.
Okay, so who's the coach? So here's the deal. Have you guys ever heard of the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon and all the stuff that goes back to Kevin Bacon? It's hilarious. It's one of the fun. So who's the head coach at Syracuse?
Fran Brown.
He did all of this is because of him.
Oh no, it is.
Period.
He's
every bit of what happened to yesterday and today is because of Syracuse.
Hey guys, I'm just going to throw this out there though. While we're doing this, I am 100% being this person at the moment. My wife is back here behind me. She may throw something at me if I say this and then it not work out this way. Hotels in Los Angeles, California are not horrendous, and I get first come, first serve as a season ticket holder to the Rose Bowl.
Well, your dad and I need to go, and we'll tell you how it was.
I can get 6 tickets.
Man.
Just saying. Hotels are not horrendous. They're not as bad as I thought they would be.
No, what you do is you fly Allegiant to Vegas and stay in Vegas and then get a car and drive over.
Well, I'm just saying, like, it's not out of the realm.
That's how you do that.
Because
But then we'd never get Chuck out of the dadgum casino.
Why do you think I've been sitting here? There's a reason why I've been telling you where all these games have been playing, because as soon as I found out, I started looking up hotels.
I'm just shocked that I've got this gambling reputation.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. But anyway, really, I didn't think in my heart, that they had the courage to leave Alabama out. I'm curious to see when they talk, and have they had any interviews with them to talk about the Alabama SMU thing yet, Jonathan? I'm curious just to see the thought process, because that'll lead into more things for next year. Does that make sense?
I don't. Yeah. No, I'm with you. I turned it off. I'm in the process, honestly, to see if I want to put if I want to go ahead and request 6 tickets, request best available for the Rose Bowl. Like that's an actual conversation I'm having with myself right now.
There's not a bad seat in there.
Well, there's not. I mean, because it's all one level. You know what I mean? Like I'm just throwing it out there. If Tasha, if she's okay with that being our Christmas gift to each other, we may go to LA for a week. I don't know.
We do know that Fran Brown played cornerback at Western Carolina, right?
Are you serious? I didn't know that.
He did.
I like him. I'm gonna tell you. I like watching him, and I said it after they played Miami. If the quarterback stays, you better watch out for them in the ACC next year. You better watch out for them in the ACC. They believe in him. Guys, he is the ACC's version of Dan Lanning at Oregon. Those kids believe in him. They will ride with him, and like they have 100% bought into his Kool-Aid. And I'm here for it. I'm not an Oregon fan, but I root like crazy watching that guy coach. Honestly, like he is fun to watch. He's intense. He loves his players, and you can tell they would say, if we're going through it, they would go on the freaking beaches of Normandy for him. And that's what football, to me, that's what football is. That's what football is about, is when you are one, and you can tell he actually means the word family at Oregon. And I feel like he's on the verge of that at Syracuse, meaning that word. It's not like some places where it's just, we just say this as a saying, we're brick by brick, blah, 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 blah. I'm rooting like hell for him next year at Syracuse, outside of game 1, because we play them. So that'll be a matchup next year. Game 1, Syracuse, Tennessee in Atlanta. That'll be a matchup.
Well, Western Carolina, and I brought this up because I sent you guys the non-conference schedule of all our favorite teams and everything. And Western Carolina plays at Wake Forest on September 6th. Just thought you guys might want to come down and visit me a little bit.
Absolutely, we're in. That's pretty easy. Oh, so let me real quick before we get off here. Is the 12-team playoff going to be as good as it should be without Alabama in it?
Yes. The 12-team playoff, entertainment-wise, will instantly surpass the NFL because college football is more fun to watch. The band, the intensity, just all that. Like, to me, 100% this will surpass the NFL playoffs every year. Especially first round playing on campus.
I think so.
I think it's going to be fun as hell to watch. You don't sit here and see, outside of the avid certain NFL team fans saying, I can't wait for the playoffs. No matter if your team's in it, people are going, oh my God, you got Clemson, Texas, Tennessee, Ohio State. Indiana came out of nowhere, is going to Notre Dame. Are you kidding me? Like, right. It's college football. It's the same thing as March Madness.
Right. I think the way they structured this thing, I think they took a lot of, that built in a very little margin of error. And for them on their first try at this 12-team playoff, I telling you, I just think they got it right. And it sets the tone for the next one to come, and the next one, the committee, whoever chairs it and whoever, they're going to follow the same suit. They'll get it right.
And I think so, or right for the most part. There's always going to be some team that goes, "Oh, we got screwed." That's always going to happen.
Right now, Alabama.
I think they did right by SMU by saying if we didn't dock Texas or Penn State outside of just bumping them down one spot each, then I think they did right by SMU by saying a 57-yard field goal, you're in, 100%.
I do want to suggest to you guys that it is going to be must-watch TV come Monday. Oh. Paul Feinbaum show.
Oh, yeah.
Colors are coming out. The legend.
No, I agree.
Oh,
guys, I'm still on this. Now, granted, we would have to win, so if I got to find a refundable hotel.
An Auburn fan call back and say, well, you shouldn't have lost to Oklahoma scoring only 3 points. So that'll be interesting to see on Monday.
If of all the 12 teams in it, I'm just trying to get a few things out from just I like picking your brains because I know what I think. Does SMU have a chance to be in the championship game? Just off the top of your head, yes or no?
No.
Well, seeing that it's a 1% chance to a 99 or a 100% chance, yeah, they have a chance. What number is, because everybody's starting with 0-0. They have a chance, just as Indiana.
That's the gambler.
I think honestly, Indiana and SMU, I think, have the smallest percentages of the teams. And even below them, I think Clemson, honestly, guys, I'm going to tell you, if Clemson screws around and beats Texas, they're beating Arizona State. They're in the Final Four.
What you should ask David is under 50% or over 50%.
Okay.
I think Indiana and SMU are under, I would say under 25%, but they got a better chance than Alabama or an Auburn or a Vandy or a North Carolina or a Wisconsin because they're in. You know what I mean? If you're in it, hey, I've said this all the time, you can't win it if you ain't in it. At least they're in it. Now they just got to go play ball.
Right.
And before we get off, John, one thing, and Chuck might know a little more than West Charlotte or Hickory Friday. What a hell of a football game it's going to be.
I don't know.
Played where?
I think they're playing. It's at Hickory.
I'm taking Hickory.
I would assume
because Yeah. And it kind of, yeah.
They can score points and don't care if they give it up. They're going to score more than you. So it is what it is.
All right. Well, guys, great show. We didn't have even though there was drama, the drama was kind of taken out. Congratulations to those teams. And as we get, and we'll be back this week or next. I guess today's Sunday. We'll be back this week with a show. As we get closer, we'll start breaking down the games in detail. But as you look forward to 2025, and I know that the transfer portal changes things in a hurry, but if you sit here right now, man, South Carolina, Syracuse, they're going to be good. If they're going to be really, really, really good, and I think there's a possibility that those are two teams are going to sit here 365 days from now and saying where they're seated. They're going to be good.
Yeah.
So anyway,
final thought. I'm just sitting there looking at this thing Jonathan gave us. Jonathan, you had every team in this final 12 before they even announced it. Mm-hmm. And you had everybody positioned at the exact spot, with the exception of Penn State and Texas.
Yeah, I flipped those two because of the Texas and SMU matchup. I figured they would do it that way. But
if you could, but you can't because you're a high school football coach, I'd take you to Vegas.
I appreciate that.
Instead, I'd take your dad and we'd call you up and say, "What do you
just call me?"
Yeah, don't take him with his grandmother to the casino.
No,
that does not end well.
All right, she'll piss you off. I gotta go because I gotta run to Target.
Right. Guys, have a great day. Chuck, have a good one. John, have a good one.
You too. Hey, don't get off here yet. Just end the show real fast.
Okay, I'll see you guys